Hey guys, you are now tuning in to It's My Money podcast. Now, for those who have watched my videos on YouTube, it used to be called something else, but I'm just doing some rebranding, and now it's called It's My Money. So it sounds more friendly and it tells people what I do on this channel. Alright, so welcome to this new channel where I'm starting to doing podcast styles instead, where I'm talking about some pretty serious or maybe boring topics to some of you. So this podcast will be available on YouTube and Spotify perhaps, and maybe in the future Apple Podcasts as well. So I'm still exploring options as I'm moving along this journey. So what got me started into doing personal finance, YouTube and podcasts? Well, money is something that we deal with on a daily basis. And unfortunately, our formal education system don't really teach us about how to handle money. And I believe that learning about money should be free, right? It shouldn't come at a cost, because that doesn't make sense. And people shouldn't just spend few thousand to go to a course to learn about money, because well those people that who are teaching those are probably very rich already, so it just encourages some predatory behavior where the rich just get richer and the poor just get poorer, because even when people attended these courses, they still don't make right decisions sometimes, because they just listen to what the guru teaches and they don't really learn how to make decisions by themselves. And what makes me a person to talk about it? Okay, personally, I gotta admit, I'm not some sort of super rich gurus. I don't live in a super big house. I don't drive an expensive car. I still live with my parents, and that is totally fine. Because what's important is that I know that my finances are in a healthy condition. I do have debt, but it's a healthy debt. I don't get overwhelmed too much. I don't need to worry about not having enough money to pay for my bills, not having enough money to pay for food and things like that. I believe that my finances are really healthy. So yeah, that's why I get to talk about it. Okay, not a bragging right, but it's more on learning, more on sharing based on experience. And of course, personally, I'm a chartered accountant with the ICAW. I got my qualification back in 2019, so it's been for a while now. But honestly, I don't really practice in accounting field at the moment. I don't do audit, I don't do tax, I don't do finance. Rather, I'm in business development. But ultimately, I think accountancy is something that helps, be it with my own work or even be it with managing finances. All right. So being an accountant doesn't mean that you are just doing debits, you're just doing credits, that what people expect, or you're not just doing financial statements, you're not just doing taxes. Of course, you may do that, or when you're studying it, you will definitely learn about all this stuff because that's the basics of it. All right, but a lot of people, when we started learning, going into the accountancy course, we just do it because people always say accountancy has a bright future, which I don't disagree. But a lot of us, we just learn, we just pass our exams, and we just return whatever we learn to our lecturers and our teachers. Okay, to some extent, I do that as well. But a lot of things I still apply. I mean, not a lot of things. Well, like I don't use IFRSs these days. But like for example, in accountancy, we also learn about budgeting. So we can do budgeting in our daily lives. We can also do our money P&L, money balance sheets to know where our finances are. And of course, accountancy teaches us how to do taxes. Honestly, it's like the only course out there that teaches you about taxes. So it's tax season, and a lot of people are really scared about doing taxes because they don't really know how to do it. But as an accountant, I know how to do my taxes, so that is something that I don't worry that much compared to other people. I mean, other than the technical aspects, accountancy also teaches some soft skills part as well. Like for example, we have this thing called professional skepticism, where we learn how to be more critical when we deal with information, and we learn like when people tell us something, we don't just blindly believe it. We will like ask questions or maybe find some other evidence to kind of support what they say, to make sure that we don't fall victim into deals that are too good to be true, or even scams and stuff like that. So learning about accountancy is pretty helpful. Yeah, but you may ask me, do you think that accountancy is a necessary? Is it a must if you want to do personal finance? Honestly, to answer the question is no. Personally, I am not in personal finance industry, because well, I don't really want to do sales. All right, because most people in the finance industry, be it investment banking, okay, maybe not investment banking, maybe things like brokerage, maybe things like agent, maybe things like insurance, maybe things like loan application bankers or whatever. A lot of them involve sales. All right, and I don't like to do that. I suck at it. So, and because most people say accountants are introverts, I kind of agree with that to some extent. So yeah, and if you notice that people in these industries that do insurance, do property, being agents or whatever they are, they may not be accounting background, they may not even have a finance degree. I have friends who even graduated from mass comm and doing some finance work. People who are engineering background and doing insurance. So yeah, accountancy is not a must. I mean, it's an advantage, but it's not guaranteed success. And it does help, but it's not a must. But if you want to learn about accountancy, I would say accountancy is pretty easy to learn, right? Compared to a lot of other things like if you want to learn programming, if you want to learn music, if you want to learn a new language, then if you want to learn about accountancy, you don't really need to be a chartered accountancy like an ACCA or an ICW title. You can always go learn some part-time courses, online, or even borrow some books on your own. Because, frankly speaking, the things you learn in accountancy courses are pretty advanced, right? You don't really need that much advance if you want to manage your own finances, right? You just need some basics, and just learn how to apply them on your finances. All right, so yeah. So in the end, I still believe that learning about money should be free, but of course, there's no right or wrong way about money because everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody have different needs. Everybody have different obligations. But the most important thing is to learn from different perspectives. So maybe you can have a rough idea or two. Then you can manage. Then you can get some ideas on how to manage your own money. So that's what this podcast aims to give you. So yeah, I think that's pretty all that I want to share in this episode. So do follow me if you want to catch up with my latest episodes. So with podcast formats, I can release new episodes more frequently rather than once or two videos in a month. So yeah, and thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.